Hey Jake, welcome to the Leaders Who Care series. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mark. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it was great to see you the other day. Like I said, I love what you're doing. So we're gonna try to play for change right here, if I can play that one out. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited about all the stuff I've learned about you, and that's why I wanted to share it with everybody else and what you're doing over there and stuff. So, as usual, let's start with if you could just introduce yourself, a little bit about you, your family, where you're from originally, something you've never told
Yeah,
anybody else in the world that you want to tell now, stuff like
I
that.
would love to. That sounds great. Yeah, surprises. My name's Jake Groshong, and I'm the CEO of the Playing for Change Foundation. And I'm originally from Seattle, though I live now in Orange County in California, near Laguna. And God, I went to school on an oboe scholarship, which most people don't know that I played the oboe. And that's how I got into music. Though I now play guitar and sing, and I was a theater performer for years. And um,
Is there a lot of
yeah,
competition? Is there a lot of competition in scholarships for oboe?
you would be shocked the amount of competition that there is for oboe. Yeah, I think I competed against a few hundred people for my scholarship. So yeah, it really is a much broader instrument than you'd think. Though I had a friend who went to school on a bagpipe scholarship. I think that's a much trickier thing to get.
Really? Well, I would think
Yeah.
it. I guess there's less, but it would be less
Yes.
people going for it too.
Exactly. Yes, that's right.
It's kind of like rowing or canoe that started to become big for ways to get into college.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I think if I have advice for people looking to get a scholarship, it's find the area in which there's the most money with the least people competing against you.
There you go. That makes sense. Buy low, sell high, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
What about family?
Yeah, I got a wife and two kids. I have my son Parker, he is 9, and my daughter Charlotte, who is 3.5. And she's in a very screaming phase right now. So everything that she doesn't get that she wants turns into her screaming at the top of her lungs that she wants it. So it's fun. I honestly I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's amazing, but there's always those great parenting challenges.
Yeah, it's fun when you're in the supermarket row aisle five.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yep. They just want that candy, and if you don't give it to them, then it's time to cause a scene. So,
People
but
to
I think it's good. It's good for us as parents and as people to have no shame or guilt associated with our daily behavior. Let's just let it ride, let them do what they need to do, and we move on with our lives.
absolutely, and it's the best way to teach them too.
That's right.
And anybody
Yeah,
has a problem with it, well, welcome to life.
exactly. That's it.
So when you were a kid, did
Mhm.
you have an interest in music or art? Was influenced by
Yeah.
your family?
Yeah, I was very influenced by my parents. So my parents met at the Eastman School of Music,
Yeah,
which is, definitely a top, I would say, 3 or 4 music school in the country.
yeah.
Um, my dad was an oboe player. My mom was a flute player, and they met on a. They got together on a trip to Siena, Italy. Where they were playing throughout Italy in the orchestra, and so I grew up going to a lot of classical music concerts because they both played as I was growing up, and that certainly influenced me a ton, especially in my early musical years. And yeah, then I played in the pit of some theater pieces. Decided I loved theater, and my RA, my freshman year of college, said I should try out for the college play, which I then got into, and the next play I got a lead in, and then it kind of just grew up from there, where I was suddenly doing musical theater, and that took over my whole life for a number of years.
Let's go. You said oboe and flute. Simon Cowell would always say he doesn't like the flute, but it's part of his shtick, right? He doesn't like the
Right.
flute, any of that until what's the host of America's Got Talent, um,
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. He plays the flute,
That's right. That's
and
right.
he's a big
Yeah.
dude. So you're not going to tell him
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell him it's a bad instrument.
no, it's not, and that really kind of surprised me. I once saw Rosie Greer. I don't know if you know that name.
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to crochet, and when there was no men can eat quiche and men can cry and all that stuff, and
Right. Right.
no one
Right.
would tell Rosie Greer not to crochet either.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. We should all try crochet. I'm sure it's a great relaxing thing for us to do.
Probably is.
Right?
While we're eating quiche, basically.
Exactly. Right. Nothing embarrassing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good plan. So your education was in arts leadership.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
exactly is that?
It's really training you to run an arts organization, an arts based organization. A lot of people that I went to school with grew up to run major institutions. Everything from like operas to ballets to museums, um, and and some like me went into more arts education sided things, and it's pretty amazing to see the need and the acceptance of the people that are really starting to graduate in this field, because the impact of arts is something that's never really been focused on enough, especially in this country. And with leaders in these positions, we're actually able to show the rest of the world the power that art has. And it's been pretty extraordinary. I've been really beyond thrilled with the job that I get to do every day. I'm so lucky to get to use this platform to actually change the world.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. It obviously determined the direction of your journey to make an
Yeah.
impact. Did you, while you were in it, is that where you thought you would be going in
No,
leadership?
no, not at all. Not at all. It was funny. I was in Seattle running a theater company that I'd started, and I actually got invited to get my master's in arts leadership at a program that I just started. And so I was in the first class that graduated, and uh, I was thinking I would be a guy who ran theaters. I was gonna just be in the performing arts and run theaters, and maybe act once in a while. And I ended up getting a job where I ran a foundation for a singer named Josh Groban, and that really changed the trajectory of the field that I was going to be working in. Because before I thought it was more performance arts, and then it turned into running foundations in arts education.
Yeah, you got to give credit to people that recognize not the what's the stereotype profile that should
Yeah,
fit, recognize the person and the abilities and the experiences they've had to do
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And some of the best leaders I know, they don't have the education in the field or anything. They just have the personality for it, that they know how to bring people together, and they know how to create coalitions, and how to network. And that's really where things happen. It's in the people we know. It's not necessarily in our skill set all the time.
Yeah, and you can always hire people to
Yeah,
do certain things, and visionaries aren't necessarily good at washing dishes or something. Um,
right.
but that's the skill set they have, and I love my clients that ask us to get them somebody not in their industry to bring
Yes.
a different perspective to the table. You know this, but we founded Fifth Element on the basis that leaders and businesses can do even better results wise,
Yeah,
talent when they're doing good. So from a business perspective, share how Playing for
yeah.
Change. You work with sponsors, you work with partners
Hmm.
that benefit. Initially, they're creating inspiring music collaborations and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now you're doing events in communities, you're doing all sorts of stuff around the
Hmm.
world. You can share how that works business wise.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. It's incredible the impact that this kind of work has when a business partners with us, because it's such a win-win relationship for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we do is we offer we have 50 locations in 17 countries, right? Different places, education centers, schools, and we offer the opportunity for a business to sponsor a program, right? So you want to sponsor Bangladesh or Brazil or Nepal or Rwanda, wherever it is that we're in, you can sponsor a school. And those usually run about $100,000 a year. But that business is then going to be able to show their impact, right? And I think showing impact is something that everyone is looking for these days. You work
Mm-hmm.
in a business, you want to be able to show that, like, we not only do good, but here's the proof. I can show you that by working with us, you're also having this impact, this positive impact on the world. And because we have these locations with all these students, we're able to create content. One thing we do really well is create content where you have these students literally getting to thank these businesses, our partners, for providing instruments, for hiring a teacher, for building a building, whatever it is that they get to learn and have as a community center. And that everyone gets to rise up through. And it's a partner that, when you talk about that amount of money, it might be a lot for some businesses, but for a larger business, it's a drop in the bucket, right?
Mhm.
And then they get to show the impact that they have to everyone they work with, and say, by working with us, you're also helping that kid, and look at what he can do, and look where he's going to go because of you.
Yeah, not best friends with him, but I spoke a couple of times to Richard Branson about
Mm-hmm.
culture and about doing good and things like that in business. And the word pride or proud came up, and we said, when we were kids, we remember adults saying, "I'm proud of where I work. I'm proud of the company I'm in, and whatnot." Now, it was a different era, but it was a lot
Yeah,
more. You don't hardly ever hear that word. I'm proud of where I work.
that's
However,
right.
if we do stuff like you're talking about, if a company, what happens is that we find, and there's a question related to this, we find that when people go home to their families, the husband, the wife, the partner, whatnot, two things can happen. They can get home and say, work sucked, I'm tired, give me a beer.
Yeah,
Or they can go home and say, man, you should have heard what we did and the impact we made over here and what we're doing in business because of that. I'm able to talk to my clients about what we did
yeah,
and all that. And the kids are hearing that. And that becomes a movement in itself, basically, to sustain that type of way of being. And what I really like when you talk about the schools and the centers is it's all community based. They're doing it, right? They're leading.
yes,
And
yeah.
how does that happen?
That
I'm sure that's a positive.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing, and every one of our locations is built for the community that it's in, right? And we help kids rise up through their own culture. It's entirely about developing a new curriculum for every program we open that's based around the culture and the community that it's in. And one of the things that we also see when someone invests in one of these programs is you also get to see the turnaround on the ground, where the kids and their parents and the entire community finally feel like someone is paying attention to them and cares about them and wants them to succeed. And that alone can go such a long way. If we know we have someone behind our back that's going to help us get there, it's incredible how far we can go. It really is. And for us, when we identify kind of, in my opinion, the greatest people I've ever met to run these programs. I mean, they're unbelievable people around the world that just want to give back and help through music, and then help tackle the social issues that each program is facing in their community. So, as I said, whatever that issue might be, we have the expertise and the people in each program to actually find the solution. And I think the key for our success hasn't been that we have any grand plans, and we don't come in saying we know the answer to solve your problem. We never do. It's not about us. It's about giving the people in the community the tools to solve their own problems, right? And then eventually, over time, they start to find their own funding and their own community of support. And then the government comes in and supports them. And then suddenly the world is paying attention to them. And then these kids who, grow up in a shack in a 2-block radius they never left, suddenly are now traveling to other countries and performing and being a part of a global network and knowing they matter and having a future.
And then other kids in that community see it, and then
That's
parents.
right.
And that's the role model. One of our clients, he's in preventive healthcare. He says there's Einsteins all over the world with
Yeah.
with the heart, mind, and soul to make an impact. So you're kind of talking about that. You come up with your own Einsteins.
No, that's exactly right. And that's what we see on a daily basis, is that there are so many brilliant, brilliant kids out there. And I tell my son this all the time too. Like, you're not special in terms of having all this stuff that you get, right? Having access to a great school. That doesn't make you special. What makes you special is what you do with it. And all the kids, and I took him with me to my school in Uganda over the summer, which is in the Bidi refugee camp, for South Sudanese refugees.
Well,
I really wanted him to meet all the kids there and understand that he's not any better than any of these kids. He's just had better opportunity. That's all it is. And our job is to make sure that we level that playing field as much as possible, right? To make sure all those refugees who have been through so much trauma are given the same opportunities as my son gets, as any kid in America gets. Like, that should be our goal around the globe. Because that's where we find the Einsteins, right? That's going to help the entire world move forward.
yeah. No, it's one of my all-time dreams has always been to have an organization just bringing kids from all over the world together somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff like
Yep.
that somewhat out there, and coming together over music or over sports or over
Yes. Yeah.
food or over whatever, where it gets to the point that all these things they talk about, they don't even realize all the stuff they don't agree on, or they told
Exactly.
they agree on, type of thing. Because
Yeah.
you start with music in the schools, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything we do starts with music, because it's the only universal language we have. Everyone can speak it. And especially when it's your culture, it's really where your power comes from as a person, like to understand your music. And we have it in the United States too. We have it where we have our historical music. We have the stuff we listen to, the stuff we grew up on, right? That gives us power in our lives to have that, to listen to that still. And every culture around the world has that. Just not everyone has access to it. So by us giving them access to it, they find their own power and their ability to have a future. Something we're doing now is connecting all these programs together where all these kids who would never get the chance to travel now are able to write songs together. We can start a drum track in Brazil, and then it can be picked up in Thailand, and then our program in Ghana is going to add the vocals, and then we're going to add a piano track in South Africa. And like all these kids are able to write music together now, whereas before their future was basically, let's see what happens if I can get through middle school. And now these kids, I was talking to the program head of our school in Karina, Mali, and when you turn 16 there, you have to take a test to move on up in school, or else you're out. And when our school started there in our village, the average rate of graduation was 11%, right, in the village that you could pass and keep going. The students in our program are graduating at over 86% on this test now, right? And the only difference from before we started to now is that we put a program in and we helped kids learn through music. And you see the results. And this happens at every one of our programs, but that's just the most recent example.
For some reason, the term music pen pals came to my mind.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. That's really what it is. That's what it is.
It's when you there's these things, I think I talked to you about it, they're called blue zones in the world,
Yeah.
where
Right.
people live longer, healthier lives.
Yep.
And all the studies show that the thing that fills people's hearts and souls more than anything is belonging.
Yep.
And when you're playing music, you're belonging, that's for sure.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. And it's something that everyone has. I mean, everyone. It might not we don't all listen to the same type of music. We're
Sure.
gonna have we're gonna have incredible disagreements about what's good musically, you know, but we all still get that power from music.
It just made me think of a story. This guy was in was the show that used to be on Prairie Life Companion or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Right.
I saw it live a
Great home
couple.
companion.
Right, exactly. I saw it live one time. This Irish rock star, I don't remember his name, was talking, playing music, and he was playing a song, and he told a story about why he wrote this song about his dad. He said every time he went home, his dad was driving the truck, and he'd be in the car. He'd remember that the song would come on, and his dad would be singing. He says, "Those aren't the words, Dad." And,
Yeah.
they said, "No, those aren't the words. I'm a rock star. I know what the words are for his song." And they're arguing. No, those aren't the words. They're loving the
Yeah.
music, but they're arguing about the words.
Yeah. Right.
And dad passed away, and he wrote a song about how much he misses arguing with his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we all have those kind of memories around music, growing up is and it completely varies in the type and whatever our parents listen to and everything, but we all have these memories that are really powerful around our childhood and music. And I don't think we realize how much it influenced us until we get much older. But I certainly think back, I got to grow up in Seattle during like the grunge era, right? And it was so important to me that I got to be, in part of this scene that was exploding around the world. And because it gives you that sense of belonging. It gives you that sense that, no matter how isolated we might feel, we all can find power through this song, through this artist, whatever it is. There's so much to gain from just letting ourselves experience it.
And to that, I would say, or you can say, you're in the business of improving children's quality of life,
Mm-hmm.
and does impact literally. Well, we have three definitions of well-being: there's physical, mental, and financial.
Yeah.
And if if you're given the confidence and you feel you belong, then you've got a shot at getting all those. And
Yes.
and that's where the blue zones come in, is really having healthy families that live longer.
Yeah, exactly. You know, some of our programs also have soccer teams. Some of our programs have a lot of micro businesses involved. You know, that program I went to in Uganda, we got them an oil press, and we gave them a bunch of acres of farmland nearby, and they are now producing oil for their village and creating this whole another economic resource for the kids and the families involved. And you know, there's tons of examples like that around the world of things we do to ensure that it starts with music, but it ends with a future. You know, we always say that we're not trying to create great musicians, we're trying to create great people. And it just starts with music, and it's the greatest tool we have to create great people.
Makes me want to go grab my ukulele and start learning how to play it again or something. Um, so tell us a little bit, before I ask one other question, tell us a little bit about where you have all these schools and what you're doing in the future, like with World Cup and things like that.
Yeah. So, you know, we're the charitable partner at the World Cup this year for the biggest festival at the World Cup, which is very exciting.
Hmm.
It's taking a place at a place called Kataifan, and it's an island that the royal family built for entertainment. And we happen to be a partner of Universal Music Hotels, and they got approached to help do the festival, and then they roped us in to be the charitable partner. So we're really excited to be a part of that whole thing and benefit from all these people getting to enjoy major artists at the World Cup. Will also help all the kids at our programs around the world. So it's a really exciting partnership.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Congratulations on the stuff you're doing. It's really it's musical, man.
It
Um,
is. That's right.
so one last question on this part
Yeah.
is 2021. One of my clients told me about 2020. He said 2020 was the year that flew by slowly.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, that's pretty good and pretty true. And then
Yeah.
22, 21, and 22 seemed to zoom by, literally, like we're on
Yeah.
zooming by.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
So here we are in 23, and I want to ask you, what are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
Mm. You know, I think right now I'm really grateful that this work is growing, that more people are buying in, that we're creating more programs around the world every year, that more countries want to have us there, that this is going to be something that can actually help the globe the more we put into it. And the more partners we can find, the more people that join us on this. Um, I really believe that we have the ability to create massive positive change around the world. And that's really exciting to me. And I think the thing I'm most hopeful for is that I think coming out of this, you know, we had a lot of people um, when I think when we went online, we had a lot of people sort of isolate and really, you know, bog down in their beliefs and not talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm really hopeful that we may have turned a corner as a country and as a world and can start talking to each other again to solve problems rather than just putting up a brick wall.
Amen to that, man. It actually feels better to do that instead of
Yeah, sure does.
the other. So there's a song in that somewhere. You got to figure what
That's
that.
right.
Um,
That's right.
hey, thanks for being one of the leaders who care. That's for sure. And
Oh,
and a friend, and we're looking forward to doing a whole bunch of stuff with you. So appreciate you being on the series.
thanks so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.